Hey y'all, we're back for another episode this week. We are on episode 32 of Banter from the Bench podcast. We've got some playoffs happening right now. We've got NHL playoffs that are underway. We've got NBA playoffs that are underway. The draft lottery just happened for hockey, and it's actually about to happen, I think, next week for the NBA. So a lot of stuff on the horizon. We'll kind of make some picks on some playoffs for both leagues and dive into some Chicago sports. Let's get ready to roll, y'all.
Soundstripe.
Glad to be back for another episode, and I'm sure a lot of you, all of you who listened to our last episode are happy to see our beautiful faces again since we just did a audio only recording last time. But yeah, we're kind of getting in the thick of the NHL and NBA playoffs and a lot of draft stuff going on as well. So we'll dive right in with the NHL draft, or the NHL Draft Lottery, which is the most recent draft lottery that has taken place. We are recording this on Wednesday. The draft lottery was on Monday, and they showed a new format this year. It was live on TV. Typically in years prior, they would do the lottery ahead of time behind closed doors and then would reveal it live to everyone, even though they knew the order already. This time they didn't, and it was done entirely live. And it was a little bit different in the sense of there were lottery balls that were drawn. Each team had corresponding 4 lottery ball numbers, and they had percentages based off of each lottery ball that was drawn. So they did 4 total, and when lottery ball 1 was drawn, teams had their percentages shifted for what they were likely to get the first pick. Some teams were eliminated, and they would keep going and going until a team had their full combination drawn and won whatever that draw was for, whether it was first pick, second pick, fourth pick, etc. So a little bit different. Kevin, what were your thoughts on the NHL draft lottery? I know you were watching it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think they kind of fumbled it a little bit, given it was the first year. I don't like the format that they use. I feel like you could have just used a simple format like the NBA uses. And each team, honestly, you could have even just put like a team logo or the team initials on a lottery ball and then just drawn it that way too. But I feel like it was a lot more complicated than they needed to make it. And I don't know. It was a little confusing to me, but there was a lot of drama, that's for sure. I mean, there were a couple teams that are picking higher, a lot higher than they should have. So that was a win, but kind of just the process was kind of confusing.
I thought it was kind of confusing as well, as someone who has been deep in the NHL draft lotteries over the last few years with the Blackhawks. It was always pretty suspenseful for me, like watching and seeing the cards flipped with the logos versus this format. And granted, I will come out and admit I did not want the Blackhawks to win the lottery this time. My ideal situation was they stayed at 2. They ended up getting the 3rd pick. We'll get into that later. But I just felt like there was so much waiting going on that it took away from the suspense and the intensity of waiting to see, is it going to be us? Is it going to be us? Like, so for those who maybe didn't watch, like I mentioned, there were 4 lottery balls drawn, and they waited 30 seconds in between each lottery ball. So realistically, it was probably a little bit longer, but that's how long their clock was. And it just kind of, like, you're just waiting around, and like, none of this really matters until the 4th ball. Like, let's just see what that 4th ball was versus, in the past they go, all right, with the 10th pick, the Pittsburgh Penguins, with the 9th pick, the Washington Capitals. They didn't get the 9th pick, but just using them as an example, which I thought was a little bit more kind of made my heart race a little bit more. But I guess good for them for trying something new. I don't know what they're going to do moving forward. We shall see. But as Kevin mentioned, there was Quite a bit of teams that jumped around. Over the last few years, it's been pretty standard in terms of, like Sharks had the best odds to win the lottery. They won it last year. Blackhawks had the second or third best odds to win the lottery. They won it 2 years ago. So there hasn't really been anything too crazy. But this year we saw the New York Islanders jump up. I don't know how many picks they jumped up. I do know they had a 3% chance of winning it, and they did. So New York Islanders got the first overall pick, and then the Utah Hockey Club, which no longer going to be called Utah Hockey Club. We'll get to that here after this. They jumped up 10 spots to get the fourth overall pick, which I thought was interesting. So kind of fun to see a little bit of chaos. There is some, for those who like conspiracy theories, I believe it was like the New York mayor or something wrote a letter to the NHL commissioner because they stripped the All-Star game from Long Island where the Islanders play, and they're going to do a best on best tournament that year instead. And they wrote that letter and sent it to the commissioner the day of the lottery, and then the Islanders turn around and win the lottery. So kind of funny that happened on the same day, but a little bit of conspiracy theories floating around there with the draft. And hey, Utah Hockey Club, technically a new team, they get rewarded with jumping up to the fourth pick. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, so the first and fourth pick, respectively, jumped up 9 spots and 10 spots. So Islanders were supposed to be 10, jumped to 1. Utah was supposed to be 14 and jumped to 4. So some pretty big jumps. I mean, for lottery purposes, there's obviously you look at, and I think this all started when the 76ers just kept tanking every year for players, and there's now people anti-tank, how do we prevent teams, and clearly whatever they're doing is working, because for teams to jump like that, it doesn't exactly reward teams that just tanked to hope to get the number one overall pick. So I guess that's a win. But speaking of Utah, they have a new name. Sean, do you want to introduce Utah's new hockey team?
The new name of the Utah Hockey Club, for those who probably already know it, is the Utah Mammoth, which I don't remember what their other two options were, but I know Mammoth was the best one. I like that a lot. Yeah. They unveiled their logo, started selling some merch over at the arena today, I saw, and I think it's good. They're keeping one of their jerseys, or I guess their jerseys this year had Utah on it. They're keeping one of those jerseys and throwing a mammoth head on the other one. So I think that's a pretty cool name. I think it's very fitting for Utah. And I'm looking forward to seeing their new jerseys out on the ice and all the rest of the merch and stuff that they come up with. I think they'll have a lot of cool stuff, and from a marketing and standpoint, they'll have a lot of fun to be able to work with the mammoth. I already saw they have a tagline on a shirt that says "Tusks Up." So looking forward to seeing what else they come up with. But overall, I really like that name for Utah.
Yeah, I think they did a really nice job on the logo itself, too. The logo's pretty sick looking. I mean, the head of the mammoth, I think, also represents some of the mountains in Utah, which is kind of a nice little tie-in there. But overall, I mean, they did a phenomenal job on the logo. I feel like their jerseys will look pretty sick, and obviously that logo on the ice will look pretty cool, too. So former Phoenix Coyotes, now Utah Mammoth. Honestly, I feel like that's kind of a win-win. While we're still on the topic of NHL, let's talk about some playoff recap here. We can start with Florida and Toronto. Toronto currently leads the series 1-0. Are they playing right now? Yeah, they're playing right now.
2-2 with 11 minutes left in the second period. So
Okay.
It was 2-1 just as I came in here to record. So Toronto has evened it up here, and to no surprise, these teams are going to be going back and forth quite a bit this series.
And for people who don't watch a ton of hockey, kind of like myself, Toronto Maple Leafs are the number 1 seed. Florida Panthers, who won it last year, are a number 3 seed. So overall, pretty good matchup. What makes the Maple Leafs so good, Sean? Why are they a 1 seed? Why could they potentially win the cup?
Well, they can score goals maybe better than just about any team in the playoffs. You got guys like Austin Matthews, William Nylander, Mitch Marner, Matthew Nyes. They just got a bunch of guys that can give you 20-plus goals in a season, some of them significantly more than that. And that just really has kind of been their MO over the last few years. Goaltending has kind of always been a little bit of an issue with them. I got to pull this up here. So their goalie, Anthony Stolarz, he just got hurt in the first game of the series. He's not playing tonight, and he was playing really well this postseason. He's got 4 wins, played in 7 games, has a 2.19 goals against average and a 90.1 save percentage. So goaltending's been excellent for the Maple Leafs this playoffs. But now obviously we're not quite sure what's going to happen with him. He took a shot to the head and then kind of got bumped in the head later on in the game, and people are thinking maybe he was concussed on that first shot and stayed in and things kind of worsened. But I know he had to go to the hospital, which I believe he's out of now, but his status is still uncertain for the rest of the series. But in terms of looking at this, Florida's that gritty, physical, tough team. They got a lot of star power. They obviously added Brad Marchand and Seth Jones this year, so added a lot more depth as they were getting ready for the playoffs. But I did a little playoff bracket on NHL.com, and I did predict this matchup. I went with Toronto to win this series. I just think that they've kind of been plagued a little bit with goaltending and stuff, and I feel like just with how talented they are and how much they can score, eventually they're going to break through and win another series here. I know it was a struggle for them in the first round for a long time, and they got over that hump. I believe it was last year or the year before. And now they're trying to make it out of the second round. I think they're able to do that this year, and I'm rolling with the Leafs here to beat the Panthers, who they're a team that can win the Stanley Cup too. So definitely a big and tough matchup for both these teams.
We can make some predictions as we talk about each series too. That works for me. I'll go with the Leafs. Again, I don't know a ton about hockey, but I know the Panthers won it last year. It's really hard to make another deep run after you just won the Stanley Cup. So, and you're going up against the number 1 seed who, like Sean said, can score in a lot of different ways. So I'll take Toronto there. I'll just go down the bracket. We can stay over here on the Eastern Conference. We've got Capitals and Hurricanes. Capitals are a 1 seed. Hurricanes are a 2 seed. Carolina currently leads the series 1-0.
Yeah, I think Carolina wins this series. I haven't really watched much of either team. I did watch Ovi's goal chase towards the end of the regular season, but Washington's obviously got a little bit of an aged roster. Carolina does a little bit too, but they've definitely added some youth. Logan Stankoven's been playing really well for them. He's a guy that they got in that Mikko Rantanen trade when they got rid of him. So that's kind of paying immediate dividends for them. I just like Carolina's team. I think they got some good depth too. Former Blackhawk Taylor Hall's been playing pretty well for them. He got rewarded with an extension to stick around there. So just kind of some good vibes going on in Carolina after all that cloudiness with the Mikko Rantanen situation. So I'm gonna go with them. I just like them more than Washington, to be honest. I don't have much else to say.
Okay, I'll take Washington for fun. And then we'll jump over to the Western Conference side. So we've got Winnipeg Jets and Dallas Stars. Dallas Stars made their run last year. Looks like they're. I guess they haven't started this series yet. This is the only series that they haven't played a game yet. So
yep.
Tonight, actually, puck drops at 6:30 Arizona time. Who do you like here?
It's it's going to be Dallas for me. Dallas is my team. I picked to win the Stanley Cup, and it was hard to do that just because they had to get past Colorado in the first round. And they did. It went 7 games, but Colorado and Dallas were 2 teams I looked at where I was like, either of them could really win the Stanley Cup this year, and they have to unfortunately play each other in round 1. I like Dallas's roster. Obviously, they're the team that acquired Mikko Rantanen. They have Wyatt Johnston, who is a young kid. I got to pull up his stats. He's been having a fantastic playoff. I got to look up his stats in Game 7s too, because he's done some pretty impressive stuff there. So Johnson's got 7 points in 7 games this series, got 3 goals, 4 assists. He is 21 years old. Let me find his Game 7. Oh. 7 stats.
I know they've been struggling. Winnipeg's been struggling with their goalie, haven't they?
Yes. Johnston scored the series clinching goal for the Dallas Stars. This is the second time in his career that he has scored a Game 7 series clinching goal for the Stars. First player in NHL history to do that at age 22 or younger. So crazy that this guy, 21 years old, when the lights are shining the brightest, he's already doing some unbelievable things for Dallas. Jake Ottinger, their goalie's playing great. He's just been pretty solid for them. Looking over at Winnipeg, really rocky series. Connor Hellebuck, he has been notorious for being a choker in the playoffs. He played really bad against St. Louis. I feel like Winnipeg was pretty lucky to win that series. They won it in 7. Hellebuck even got pulled a few times in that series. I'm rolling with Dallas. I do think that maybe Winnipeg plays a little bit better and maybe Hellebuck plays a little bit better because he's like, hey, look, we were able to win a series when I wasn't playing close to my best. Maybe we can do something here, but I just think Dallas has too much firepower, and I think they'll win that series. And spoiler alert, I guess they're my team to pick to win the Stanley Cup too.
I know a lot of Jets fans are trying to like reason with his performance in the first round too. They're like, oh, he just needs the fire lit under him. Like, you know, he should be fine if they advance. It's like, oh, I don't know if that's necessarily the case here, but I like
he
Dallas
struggles
here
every
too.
postseason. Like just for whatever reason, like he's gonna win the trophy for the best goalie. He might even win the MVP of the NHL this year. But when it comes to the playoffs, it's like he's never played hockey before. But I'll let you keep going.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's like goaltending is what's going to make or break a lot of series, especially as you make it further and further into the Stanley Cup playoffs. I'm going to take Dallas for that reason. They obviously got a lot of experience with last year's run too, which helps going into this year's postseason. So I like Dallas here. The final series we have is Las Vegas Golden Knights and the Edmonton Oilers. We've got Golden Knights as a 1 seed, Oilers as a 3 seed. Edmonton currently leads the series 1-0.
Yeah, for a minute I didn't even know if Edmonton would be in this series because they, I believe they went down to the Kings 2-0 and then reverse swept them in the first round. Things didn't look that good after those first 2 games, but this is a tough one. Vegas is a really good team. They got a lot of depth. They got a lot of experience. Obviously, Edmonton has a lot of experience too. Edmonton, similar to Toronto, can score with the guys that they got. But I think I'm probably going to roll with Vegas here. I just kind of like them a little bit more as a complete team versus Edmonton. But it's hard for me to go against the star power they have in Edmonton too. But going with my gut. My gut tells me Vegas wins this series.
Here's what's really interesting, because Oilers are a 3 seed, Vegas is a 1 seed. Current odds right now to win the Stanley Cup are flip-flopped. Vegas is a plus 1,000, so they have the second worst odds to win the Stanley Cup. Edmonton has the second best odds to win the Stanley Cup at plus 400, right behind Carolina at plus 360. So it's really interesting when you look at like the seeding. Obviously Edmonton's up 1-0 right now, so that can help betting odds. But like for Vegas to be that far back and Edmonton to be the second best bet, I guess you could say, is kind of interesting. I'll take Edmonton here. I don't really know a whole lot about either of these teams other than Connor McDavid, so I'm gonna rock with Edmonton and hope I sound good on the next episode.
What team does he play for?
The Oilers.
Good job. Just testing a little bit.
I got that part. All right, well let's jump to the other playoffs then. Let's talk about NBA playoffs here. I can run down the brackets again here like I did with the NHL playoffs. So We'll start on the Eastern Conference side as well. So this one's really, really interesting.
Yeah.
You've got the Cavaliers and the Pacers, man. The Pacers are just going on a little run here. I mean, they beat the Bucks 4-1 in the series. They're up 2-0 to the Cavaliers. Cavaliers, they might have had the second best record in all the NBA behind the Thunder, I think.
I'm pretty sure they did. And the Pacers did this same shit last year, too. I think they made the conference finals last year, and that was really unexpected. But I swear it's like the postseason comes and the Pacers are just a juggernaut all of a sudden.
Yeah.
With this series, I will say it is unfortunate that Cleveland is as hurt as they are.
Yeah.
Darius Garland. So Indiana's up 2-0. Darius Garland hasn't played in the series. Last game, they also didn't have Evan Mobley and DeAndre Hunter. Cleveland didn't. But also, too, I mean, you got to look at just how good Indiana's playing. Now, they did need a buzzer beater almost to beat Cleveland last night. Tyrese Halliburton hit a pretty incredible shot to put the team up with about 1.5 seconds left. But, I mean, the Pacers have just been solid this postseason, and if Cleveland's healthy, who knows? Maybe they would still be playing as well as they are, and it's just kind of it's fun to get someone different. I feel like with the NBA, you kind of get your 2-3 teams that really can win it all, and everyone else is just hoping to get lucky. But I don't know. After 2 postseasons in a row where the Pacers look awesome, maybe this is them really turning the corner, and they're about to be that next team that can take that step and be a true contender.
It seems like we're finally getting rid of the mega teams, which I love, right? Like you look at the Thunder, they could easily win it. The Cavs, if they were healthy, could. You've still got the Celtics. The Knicks are looking pretty good. I mean, not tonight, but overall. Timberwolves are on a hot streak right now, and with Steph Curry out for a week, they could make a little run there. But that's what I love about where the NBA is at right now is it seems like a lot of these just like trios of superstars on one team are starting to diminish, which that's the way it should be. The other thing I'll mention here, I'm actually going to pick the Pacers to win this series. It seems like it's the postseason of Tyrese Halliburton and his dad, but the Pacers just remind me a lot of the Pacers from when I was growing up. Like you had the Paul George Pacers who were just absolute dogs. You had the Reggie Miller Pacers that were just absolute dogs. And like they just have this same mentality with every single team that goes on a run.
You're forgetting the GOAT. Who? Jermaine O'Neal Pacers.
Jermaine O'Neal.
Pay your respects that for those who are wondering why the hell I'm bringing up Jermaine O'Neal. I loved him growing up.
He was your boy. They had another big guy. Who was their other big guy? I want to say he was in North Carolina. Roy Hibbert.
I was going to say, yeah, they had him. They had Al Harrington. They had Steven Jackson.
Yeah.
They had some players over the years.
But they just played like dogs, man. It's like the old school Pistons. The Pacers were very, very similar for us growing up, and it's kind of the same way right now. So they've been fun to watch. I'll take the Pacers here. Sean, who do you like?
Yeah, I'm rolling with Indiana, too. I just think that the combination of Cleveland's injuries and the fact that Indiana's already up 2-0, it's probably over for Cleveland, unfortunately.
Yeah, this one was kind of dealt to us on a silver platter. Let's talk about a series that could get really interesting. Now, we've got the Knicks and the Celtics. Celtics, I think they finished, third best in the league. Knicks finished fifth best in fifth best in the league. Both of these teams, for the most part, can be hot or not, depending on the night. You look at the other night, Celtics shooting was absolutely horrendous. Knicks stole a game to go up 1-0 in the series. Tonight, Celtics are playing a lot better. They're up by 18. And the third quarter's wrapping up here shortly, so it looks like they'll come away with a win and tie the series. If I had to put money on it, I would put money on the Celtics, but I'm going to have some fun with it. I'll say the Knicks win this series, and I'll say it's going to be Knicks in 7.
Nice. Way back when, I did pick the Knicks before the season started to win it all, and I unfortunately think that they're not going to be able to get past Boston. They did win Game 1. Which was good for them, but I just feel like Boston's they're just solid, man, and they obviously are the defending champs, and they really look like they could pull off a repeat. So
They don't have campaign though. Cameron Payne is on the Knicks, and that's all they need.
well, yeah, well, he went from the tank commander to the contender commander, so good for him. But yeah, Celtics are solid, and there's been rumors that they might have some shakeups this offseason. So maybe they get together and they're like, let's do one more, and then that's probably it. Like I'm sure, I don't know, Jaylen Brown gets dealt or something like that, where they got to move some guys around. But they're solid. They're when it comes to the postseason, and they're up 20 with 2 minutes and 54 seconds left in the third. So it's looking like they might even up this series tonight.
Dude, Jalen Brunson and Mikal Bridges are having really rough shooting nights. To combine, and keep in mind Jalen Brunson's the only one that's actually made shots. To combine between the two of them, they're 3 of 19 from the field.
I could do that for a lot less money that they're making.
Mikal Bridges is 0 for 8. So that's not.
I can definitely do that. I can guarantee you that.
Karl Anthony Towns is kind of, well, he's not really putting the team on his back because they're down by 20, but he's doing what he can. All right, so you're taking the Celtics then?
I am, yep.
Okay, let's jump to Western Conference, which I think is a lot more entertaining. You've got the Thunder and the Nuggets. Denver stole game 1, and they're up 1-0. Thunder have the best record in the NBA. They're, in my opinion, the most exciting team to watch in all of basketball. I'm going to take the Thunder here. I don't even really need to think about that one.
I'm actually going to go with Denver. I do love the Thunder, and they're a great team, but I think this is kind of the beginning of them really being a solid postseason contender. I think they're just running into the Nuggets, who are also kind of like they've been a juggernaut lately, and I think you're looking at a lot of experience versus some inexperience here. So I'm going to take the experience and go with Denver, but I fully would not be shocked if OKC won a title within the next couple of years, and even if they won it this year. But I think they're not quite going to be ready to take that step, and I'm going to go with the Nuggets here.
Don't forget Denver dealt with a coaching change too, and honestly,
yeah.
maybe it was good for them. But it's just
they've been
interesting
hanging
going
in there
into the playoffs. Yeah,
I didn't watch any of that first game, but I know they had a pretty big comeback. They came back from like down 20 or something.
Did you see Jokic's numbers that game?
He had 40 and something.
Dude, he had 42 points, 22 rebounds, 6 assists, and 7 turnovers.
Nice.
So, 42 and 22 is ridiculous. So, 7 turnovers don't even really matter, and you got the win. So, all right. Well, let's talk about a series that could get interesting, and honestly, I think is going to get really scrappy. You've got the Timberwolves and the Warriors. Warriors are currently leading the series 1-0. Steph Curry, I want to say it was oblique. He strained, but he's going to be out for a hammy. He's going to be out for a week. He's never had this injury before, so they say the injury timeline can change. But I personally, this is going to kind of be bold to say, I think the league could very well turn over to Anthony Edwards once LeBron finally retires. I'm going to take the Timberwolves here because Anthony Edwards is, dude, he's fun to watch. He's kind of on a tear, and he can take over a game pretty much whenever he wants.
Well, he needs to play better than he did in game 1 because he shot like 9 of 22 and had like 1 point heading into the third quarter. But
can't win them all, Sean.
I think that Minnesota can win this series too. They've kind of been a hot and cold team when it comes to shooting. They either look like they can be unbeatable or they look like they haven't played competitive basketball together. But I think with Steph's injury, I think that's going to be a lot more of an impact maybe than people realize. I think he maybe had less than 10 points when he got hurt in the first game. But obviously that's not someone that you want to have miss extended time, and I think the Timberwolves will just kind of take advantage of that, and they'll kind of go on a little bit of a run here and maybe put this series out of reach while Steph's trying to come back from his injury. So yeah. I'm rolling with the Timberwolves as well, and I think they'll make it back to the West Finals for the second year in a row, and maybe they'll play the team that they played last year too.
Dude, what's crazy is Anthony Edwards still finished with 23 and 14 rebounds. Like, that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Steph finished with 13 points in
Okay, so he had 13.
13 minutes.
Draymond Green, I went to bed before half, but
Yeah.
he had like 16 points in the first half or something.
Dude, I was just gonna talk about that. He finished with 18 points. You're not gonna get that every night from Draymond.
No,
you can't expect
And now with
that.
Steph out, he's gonna be chucking it up more, thinking, I was hot in game 1, I'll be hot in game 2 or in game 3.
Yeah, you're gonna need
Jimmy
other
Butler,
guys.
we got a Jimmy Butler revenge series too. He was getting booed every time he got the ball in Minnesota.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, he's gonna have to take over. I mean, you're gonna need other guys like Buddy Hield, Brandon Podziemski, Jonathan Kuminga. You're gonna need guys like that to step in and like put up more than you did during the regular season. And who knows? It could just be 2 games. Like it could not be the end of the world for Golden State. But I also think Anthony Edwards. I mean, what did he finish at with this year? 27, 5, and 4 on 45% shooting from the field, which, that alone isn't crazy efficient. He finished 91st in the league in field goal percentage, but like the dude can put up points when he wants to.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely forgot what I was going to say. No, I remember now. The Warriors could have a little bit better of an outlook if they had Nikola Vucevic here. They should have traded for him.
Probably would have been fine. Also, I talked about how the Knicks were down by 20. It's a 12-point game at the end of the third, so maybe a little bit of a run here. All right, well then let's jump to Chicago talk. I know we've got a lot to cover here, so we're gonna jump over to Chicago topics, and I think the best place to start, because it's fresh. Our last podcast episode was all about the NFL draft. We're gonna talk about the Bears draft recap. They got a lot, and I mean a lot, of positive feedback on their draft overall. I was pretty happy with it. I think, the Bears have had the running joke with the Bears the last couple seasons is like they win the offseason, and then nothing happens. I think this is kind of the turning point for the franchise, and I think a large reason why is because of Ben Johnson. But do you want me to run through each pick, or should we take it pick by pick and give our thoughts?
We can talk about some of the main ones. There are a handful towards the back that I don't really have any thoughts on. I don't know if you do. Like, if you do, by any means, share those. But I know I personally don't. Like, I really only care about the first 4 or 5 picks.
Okay. I'll start there. There's a couple others that I want to talk about. So, first round pick, Colson Loveland, tight end out of Michigan. I'm going to be honest here. When they made the pick, I was a little puzzled, but I told Sean I'm kind of in the mindset of like trust Ben Johnson. He knows what he wants in an offense. He knows how to put together a good offense and make players better versions of themselves. So I kind of just sat on it. There was a lot of positive feedback, and a lot of people actually had Colston Loveland higher than Tyler Warren. And I think that was kind of quietly discussed before the draft because I didn't really hear a whole lot of that. But overall, I'm happy with Colston Loveland.
Yeah, I think it was a surprise just because people knew the Bears needed a weapon, and it seemed like collectively the industry thought Tyler Warren would be that weapon. A lot of Bears fans thought Tyler Warren would be that weapon. But if you take a step back and think like, oh, we didn't get Tyler Warren, this sucks. Colston Loveland's a really good tight end. He has a lot of good size. You can line him out wide like a receiver. He spent majority of his snaps this past year with Michigan doing something like that. And I think he fits what Ben Johnson wants pretty well. He's got a little bit more. I'm pretty sure he's got a little bit more size than Warren in terms of height, and I know he's a tick faster. But I am excited for him to come in. I think he's going to be in a position to do some big things right away in his NFL career. And I know we obviously got Cole Kmet, who we've paid. Ben Johnson didn't pay Cole Kmet, but I think we're gonna maybe see a little bit of a changing of the tides where it's not too long before Loveland looks like he is our tight end one, and Kmet takes a little bit of a back seat.
Who would you compare him to? like in tight ends that either play now or have played in the past. I have a name that I think is really interesting, but I think honestly it's a pretty fair comparison. But I'm curious who you have.
I don't have one, to be honest with you. If I gave you a name right now, I'd just be throwing shit at a wall. So I'll let you get yours out.
Because of the size, because of the speed, and because of the way that they're used, I like Kellen Winslow for him. I mean, being a Miami fan, I saw a lot of Kellen Winslow. He was used a lot for the Jets, for the Browns, and even in Tampa Bay. I think they're pretty comparable. So hopefully we get Kellen Winslow out of Colson Loveland, but I think that
I was gonna say that's a good one. Travis Kelce, Gronkowski, Tony Gonzalez,
Antonio Gates.
Yeah. But no, I mean we got a big physical guy. He can go up and get it. He can attack all different levels of the field. We'll quickly forget that we quote unquote took him over Tyler Warren. Like, he's gonna be a weapon, and he'll be exciting.
Especially once he adds some weight. I think he needs to add a little bit of weight, but like that's normal for guys going into the NFL. So let's move to round 2, number 39th overall, Luther Burden. Sean, I'll let you start with this one.
Embarrassment of riches with this pick. Like, we did not need to take Luther Burden. We probably should have taken a running back or an offensive lineman with our second round pick, but he was on the board, and the Bears were like, you know what? Like, yeah, screw it. Let's get another weapon. I love it. I don't know if I've talked about it much on the podcast or not, but I know you and I have talked about it quite a bit. I've been very adamant that the Bears need to add another receiver because we lost Keenan Allen. I never have really liked Tyler Scott. He's the next guy we have. We have Olamide Zaccheaus. I'm always going to get his name wrong, but we were looking at Zaccheaus and Tyler Scott as our 2 wide receiver 3s at this point, and I was like, that kind of sucks. We really need to get someone else in there. So what did they do? They were like, Luther Burden's here. Let's go get the local kid. Let's bring him in. You're looking at a guy that was a projected wide receiver 1 at one point. Had a little bit of rough year at Missouri this past season. Their whole team did, to be quite honest. And so he dropped, and Bears were like, yeah, let's pounce on it. And I love it. It was not necessarily a need at that point, but it was definitely hard to pass up, and I'm glad they didn't do that.
You know you landed a good guy at this point in the draft is Ben Johnson literally went to the mic and said, Luther Burden is a dog. And Luther Burden went back to the lab when he wasn't taken in the first round and was messing around with the jugs machine at 1 a.m. and posted a picture on his Instagram. I'm happy with it. Like Sean said, an embarrassment of riches is never a bad thing, especially being a Bears fan when that's never really been the case. The only thing I will say, I don't know if we considered, but I wish we might have, is a guy like JT Tumalau, the edge out of Ohio State. We still have a huge hole to fill at edge on the other side of Montez Sweat. There was also Ariante Ursary, a tackle from Minnesota that Sean really liked. But, the tackle that we took, Ozzie, and we'll talk about him, a lot of people are saying good things about him too. So that's the only thing I would add there. But, yeah, I mean, I think people know what you're getting with Luther Burden. He was some people's wide receiver 1 going into this draft. If you take out, obviously, you consider what's his name from Colorado? Wow, I'm drawing a blank. Travis Hunter. If you consider Travis Hunter as like more of a cornerback, then some people put Luther Burden as wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2. So not too bad.
I'm gonna sound like such a homer when I say this because I just said the same thing about Loveland. But I mean, when you look at Luther Burden, he's going into a receiving room with DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, and then Luther Burden. He's gonna get some. He's probably gonna go up against some corners that he maybe faced better ones in the SEC, and like. You're looking at a guy that he could also put up some numbers very, very quickly for the Bears. So I'm looking forward to getting
and also
him in.
Ben Johnson could put stunts into the offense, you know what I mean? To where it looks like, oh, this ball's very clearly going to DJ Moore, and then next thing you know, Luther Burden's streaking up the field, which he does really well. So
he goes streaking.
He loves a good streaking. But yeah, I think an embarrassment of riches, I'll sign up for that. One guy I kind of teased in the second round as well, Ozzy Trapillo, an offensive tackle out of Boston College. With this guy, it is size, and NFL ready. You could plug this guy in immediately. Some people say, like, he currently, where it stands, day 0 as an NFL player, he would be like a backup, like a guy you could fill in when there's an injury, but like he could easily work his way into the starting lineup. So at this point with 56 overall, I think it's pretty good value. I'm going to tag this one as I will be happy when I see it. Anything you want to add about Ozzy, or are you just whatever?
Size is interesting. He's like 6'8" or something like that. So he's a really, really big dude. Boston College, obviously there's a connection there. Ryan Poles is a former Boston College guy, and I'm pretty sure Ben Johnson is too. So obviously have that connection. But I hope he doesn't play this year. If he does, something bad happened. But I think we're looking at a guy that maybe could work his way into a starting spot in a couple years. But for now, just probably someone that they want to get into the franchise, get him on the program, start developing him, and then hopefully he can take the field when he's ready and not be thrown into like a Kirian Amagaji situation he was thrown into last year.
That was an absolute nightmare. I think I could have been plugged in and done just as good of a job.
Probably.
Let's talk about our fourth pick of the night. I don't know what time it was at this point, but 62nd overall, Shamar Turner, a defensive tackle out of Texas A&M. This is one of my favorite picks the Bears made all night. This was highly productive. He was a highly productive player out of high school. I think he was a 5-star recruit. Very productive at Texas A&M. He kind of does a lot of the dirty work, right? When you've got guys along the edge that are recording a lot of the sacks. He's more of like your run stuffer type, but he's just a dog. He's just highly aggressive. You'll see a lot of it on tape. I'm really excited about bringing Shamar Turner, and I like this pick a lot.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick too. We're also looking at a guy that was previously projected as a first-round pick. So Bears definitely were kind of looking at some value here with some of these guys. And Turner, he's former top prospect coming into college. Was solid at Texas A&M for a few years. So I'm looking forward to that pick too. Was a little surprised they went defensive tackle. I thought maybe they would have taken edge like you were saying, but either way, getting depth in the trenches is not a bad thing. So happy that they were able to address that in the second round.
Yeah, and I think this is why. So this next pick, a lot of people are confused about. Ruben Hippolyte, round 4, 132nd overall. This
is my pick of the century.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'll let you start with Ruben Hippolyte.
I got nothing to say. He's fast. He's fast.
So.
He's fast. He could play running back. He could play edge. People think maybe he could play safety. He could play linebacker. You just let him get in there and run around.
He was a 5-star recruit out of high school. I remember him very, very adamantly because Miami tried to get him to come to the U for a while.
Did he burn Miami?
No, that was.
I was going to say jerseys ordered. If that was the case.
No, that was not Shamar Turner. Who was the other dude out of Texas A&M that went?
I think it's another Shamar.
It is Shamar Stewart. Shamar Stewart is the one that did. And he actually sent. The guy's at 24/7 Sports right now, but he was a Miami guy at the time, and he texted Shamar Turner Shamar Stewart afterwards, like asking, like, "Hey, Shamar, like, what's going on? Like, I thought you were coming to Miami." And all Shamar Stewart responded with was a middle finger emoji. Like that's pretty bold. Ruben Hippolyte. So this guy, like Sean said, speed. He played high school football in Florida, which you get a lot of draft prospects that come out of football in high school in Florida. I think, personally, this is just my belief. I haven't heard anything about this at all. I think they're going to try and turn him into an edge guy because of his speed. I think it makes a ton of sense. We have a hole there at edge. I mean, you've got Dio Odengbo there, but you're still going to need some depth. I think they're going to look at Ruben Hippolyte as potential edge guy.
I have seen possibly safety as another potential position for him too, but that would require him to cut quite a bit of weight. But they definitely see some flexibility here with him, and I think that's why they made that pick. People thought it was a reach. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. We'll never really know. I kind of hate people who really overanalyze draft classes, and because we're not going to know how these draft classes really were until about 2 or 3 years from now.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, a lot of people were excited about Cole Kmet, and I feel like he's been fine, nothing crazy.
But people wanted Chase Claypool over him at that time.
Yeah,
they
we
were
tried
you
that
took
too.
the wrong Notre Dame receiver.
We tried that.
And we did get
too.
him, but yeah, it didn't work out.
Next couple picks, I don't have a whole lot. We have Zay Frazier, the cornerback out of UTSA. I know he had 7 interceptions. It was his 1 year of starting at
pretty good size.
Yeah, at D1. Yeah. I think he's got pretty good speed too. Obviously good ball tracking. It's a flyer, 148th overall, 5th round pick. It's a flyer. His numbers are there, his size is there, his speed is there, but man, I've gotten excited about too many 5th round picks in the past to continue to get excited now. Round 6, 195 overall, they took Luke Newman, an offensive lineman out of Michigan State. Know nothing about this guy. I mean, I think it's just O-line depth. I don't really have a whole lot to add there. And then finally, the pick that is getting a lot of talk, at least I see it all over Twitter, and Bears Twitter specifically, obviously. Number 233rd overall, round 7, running back out of Rutgers, Kyle Monangai. This is a guy, he ran all over Miami in the bowl game. I remember this very clearly. He's a smaller guy. I want to say he's I don't know why I feel 5'10". But he runs very, 5'8". Yeah, okay, 5'8". So he runs very aggressive for his size. Just a complete bowling ball of a runner for his size. I think this could end up being a steal for the Bears. I mean, I don't think he's ever going to be your starting running back, but to have a damn good backup running back option like him, or even a third string running back option like him, I thought this was a really solid pick this far into the draft.
I'm just looking at his page here, and registered at 5'8", and at the combine or pro day, wherever he did that, weighs 211 pounds. So he's a little bit of a unit for his size.
Yeah, dude. If you haven't watched videos of him, honestly, I highly recommend people that are listening. I highly recommend, if you're listening, watch just one highlight tape of Kyle Monangai, and I think you'll get excited as a Bears fan because the dude is just a flat-out bowling ball.
First team All Big Ten last year, had over 1,200 rushing yards, 13 rushing touchdowns. Did not fumble once in his college career.
Yeah.
Was a team captain. Was second team All Big Ten in 2023. So he started a lot of games. He started 11 games in 2021, 12 games in 2022, 13 games in 2023, and 11 games in 2024. So he's available too.
There was a...
you know what they say? The best ability is what?
Availability, baby.
That's right.
There was a guy that... he was from the Big Ten. I don't remember who they were interviewing, but he said... Kyle Monangai was one of the hardest running backs he ever played against.
Looking at strengths here. Sturdy base, absorbs hard contact and stays intact. I'm going to start to refer to myself as someone with a sturdy base.
Dude, I'm telling you.
I'm not fat, I just got a sturdy base.
When we get off the podcast tonight, you got to watch. It's his highlight tapes are pretty fun. I'm trying to look up some of the bigger games. Oh, let's see what he did against Akron in 2024. He had 200 rushing yards and 3 TDs against Akron. Let's see, 2025. Do they have?
We don't need to talk about that.
Yeah. Virginia Tech, he had almost 100 yards. Washington, he had 132. Illinois, he rushed for 122 yards. He finished with 13 touchdowns on the year. So really, at that point, 233rd overall. I think that was great value for them.
So since we're on the topic, unless you wanted to add anything else.
No, I was going to shift to Blackhawks.
No, we're not yet. Just be patient. I know you're itching to talk about the Blackhawks. So since we're on the topic of running backs, there's been some rumors going around that Bears may be looking at Nick Chubb. Rumors-ish, unofficial rumors maybe floating around that they're kicking the tires on a Kenneth Walker trade. After drafting this guy, what do you think? Do you think the Bears are done making a move for a running back? Do you think they bring someone else in? Where's your head at?
I think Kenneth Walker honestly is just like it's like a contract negotiation chip. I think they're looking at J.K. Dobbins, and I think they're looking at Nick Chubb, and they're just throwing out the Kenneth Walker stuff to try and see if they can negotiate a cheaper contract from them. Because I think J.K. Dobbins and I think Nick Chubb are probably better options than Kenneth Walker at this stage. But like, they all do very similar things, right? Like you're gonna get a veteran, and you're going to get a guy who runs with power. You're going to get a guy who challenges DeAndre Swift for that starting job. So, like, I'd be happy with all three. J.K. Dobbins almost rushed for 1,000 yards last year. Nick Chubb is highly talented when he's healthy. And Kenneth Walker, I think, is highly underrated. He's also a very aggressive runner. So, I know it's an unpopular answer, but I think I'm happy with all three.
I think they'll end up with one. I really think they'll just end up signing Nick Chubb. I think that'll probably make the most sense from the standpoint of he won't command a whole lot, and you probably just get him for 1 year. I don't think they're going to want to tie up a lot of money into a running back, but the pipe dream for me would be Kenneth Walker. If they can get him, that would be fantastic. But I just think Nick Chubb on like a prove-it deal makes a lot of sense, not only for the Bears, but for Nick Chubb too. And I think maybe that'll end up being the guy that we get, which I'd be totally happy with too.
Yeah, it just depends on what Seattle wants for Kenneth Walker, right? Because like what I would love to see is Kenneth Walker for honestly even like a 5th round pick would be ideal. And then you go and draft a guy like Jeremiah Love next year. And like talk about a 2-headed horse, like that would be disgusting to have those two together. So
early mocks for next year, Jeremiah Love to the Bears might be the consensus pick right now. He's the running back out of Notre Dame,
100%. So that would be like my dream, but a lot's got to happen. All right, well let's jump to Blackhawks. Sean, I'm going to let you take the reins here. Blackhawks ended up with the 3rd pick in the NHL draft. They dropped 1 spot. They were projected at 2, had the odds for the 2nd pick overall, and dropped to 3rd overall. What does this mean for the Blackhawks? Is this like a nightmare scenario for them, or is based on the prospects available, is everything fine?
No, everything's fine. Ideally, they would have been able to pick 2nd and end up with Michael Misa. He is a forward out of Canada, but the Sharks will likely take him 2nd overall. There are some rumblings that this kid by the name of James Higgins, he is a Long Island native, huge Islanders fan, looking at a guy that probably goes about 5th overall. People are speculating maybe the Islanders take him, but I don't think they would. The Islanders farm system, whatever you want to call it, system prospect pool is pretty weak. Matthew Schaefer, a defenseman, is the top guy in this draft. I think they should just take him and not really question it. He would provide a big boost to their prospect pool, which leaves the Sharks with the ability to take someone like Misa. So where does that leave the Blackhawks? There are probably about 3, maybe 4 names that'll be in the mix there for that 3rd overall pick. Not a ton of separation between them, in my opinion. You're looking at a guy, Porter Martone, who's a forward. You're looking at a guy, Anton Frondel, I could be pronouncing his name wrong. He's French. He's another forward. You're looking at a guy. I'm definitely pronouncing it. Sorry, Frondel's not French. This guy's French. I'm definitely going to pronounce his name wrong. It's like Caleb Denoyer, it's spelled Desnoyers. I looked at it and I thought Desnoyers was how you pronounce it.
Oh, wow.
But it's maybe like Denoyer or something like that. Or you're looking at also like a James Higgins for the Blackhawks there too. So each guy has some interesting traits. For me personally, I'm leaning towards Porter Martone, and the reason I like him, and this is just right now, this is off of just doing a little bit of realistic research and stuff after the lottery results came out, but I got to pull up him because I want to get his measurables. But Porter Martone, he is.
Also, for those listening, NHL Draft is June 27th, so we've got a little over a month from now.
Porter Martone, 6'3", 207 pounds. So he is a big man. He is 18 years old, possibly going to go play college at Penn State. That's kind of an offer's been put on the table for him to go there. Otherwise, he's playing in the OHL and he can go back there, I believe. So why I like Porter Martone for the Blackhawks is they don't really have a prospect like him right now towards the top of their pool. They have a lot of guys that are smaller, and I like that Martone is 6'3". I really like his size. Now, one knock on him is he's not the best skater, and that's something that Kyle Davidson has really valued in draft picks since he's been the GM. So that might be a little bit of a red flag for Kyle Davidson in the Blackhawks, but Martone's got a really unique skill set for being 6'3", in terms of his puck handling, in terms of his ability to create plays for himself or for teammates. Probably a guy that's going to play on the wing, looking at possibly a left wing position for him moving forward. But as he gets older and fills out that frame, he can kind of be like that power, physical forward that we don't really have right now. So I think he matches up really, really well with stuff that we don't really have in our system. So I really like him as a fit, and some of the other guys, they'd be good fits too, but I think he just brings a little bit more uniqueness with his frame and his style of play that he's able to have with his frame too.
It seems like this year's draft isn't like the Connor Bedard drafts where it's like, hey, it doesn't matter who's picking. Connor Bedard's going number 1 overall. You know what I mean? It seems like there's kind of a field of anywhere from like 3 to 5 guys that could go in the top couple picks. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, really, you're looking at Matthew Schaefer's definitely the top prospect. He's a defenseman. He's had some injury concerns. Microphone's falling. He's had some injury concerns. People have pegged him as like the next Cale Makar, but Cale Makar is a freaking unicorn, so I feel like it's hard to make that comparison. But he's the top prospect. Misa, you could put at like 1B. And then the rest of the guys, really, like, I wouldn't be mad about any of them, to be honest. There isn't that much of a difference, in my opinion, between, we'll call them prospects 3 through 6. We'll call it. So in terms of overall talent, not quite as good as we've had the last couple of years, especially at the top, but the Blackhawks still have an opportunity to get a very good player here at number 3. Now, we do have a little bit of wiggle room. We have our pick, and then we have Toronto's first round pick. So if they want to move up, like if they're like, we need Michael Misa, they would have to move up to 1 to be able to get that, because they would have to jump the Sharks. Yeah. They have the ability to do that if they really want to. If it were up to me, I'd save those picks for maybe a proven player and just take a guy at 3. Like, let's just roll with someone at 3, whether it's Martone, Frondel, Denoyer, or Higgins. Like, just pick one of those guys and we can roll with it.
Do you think there's a chance they trade back? Because I think you said next year's draft is pretty loaded. Do you think there's a chance they trade back? Even still to stay in the top 10? But
no, I don't. I don't think they trade back. And especially with teams that are going to be teetering around a lottery pick, I don't think they're going to want to move a pick for next year.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, well, a lot's going to happen. I mean, last year the Blackhawks made an unexpected trade before draft night. There might have even been two. I think there was two. An unexpected trade before draft night, so I wouldn't rule that out. But let's jump to the White Sox. I'm actually looking at the score right now. They're losing again, down 2-0 to the Royals in the bottom of the seventh. And Bobby Witt's up with a man on second, so this could get even worse. But I will say, like, overall, and I had ChatGPT run this for me, overall, their record of where they stand right now, they are on pace to break last year's overall losing record. So, like, what that means is they would have the worst record in baseball history again. Now, I'm going to pause for a second and say, I don't think that's going to happen. I think we've got a better manager. I think we're going to start to see more and more prospects make their way up to this roster. You've already seen what Edgar Quero has done for this team. You still got Kyle Teal. You've got a lot of pitching prospects, guys that could make their way up. So I don't foresee that happening. But let's start with Edgar Quero. We'll talk about a lot of guys that we've seen some flashes from lately. Edgar Quero, I want to give him his roses because a lot of people talk about Kyle Teal the second we traded for him, catcher of the future. Edgar Quero's done some really nice stuff for us. Since he's gotten called up, his slash line is 291, 391, 346. He's got 3 doubles, 8 RBIs, 7 walks, which is something the White Sox need a ton, and 11 strikeouts. Now, one thing to note about those strikeouts, 6 of those have come just in the last 2 games alone. So before those 2 games, he only had 5 strikeouts. Really like what I've seen from Edgar Quero. He's putting together some really nice at-bats. He's kind of like quietly becoming a little bit of a leader for this team, I feel like. What's your takeaway been with him?
He looks like he can hit. He's really, I mean, at the last couple games struggled a little bit, but besides that, like he's put some good barrels on balls, but really, and this is just me kind of being a little nitpicky, and I mean, he's only played in like 10-ish games. Would like to see that slugging percentage get up a little bit more, see him get a few extra base hits, maybe run into a couple home runs. But overall, I mean, for him to come in and hit the way he's hitting, like he has definitely been a breath of fresh air for this team. Like our lineup has just been brutal. Him and Chase Mydroth, since he's come back from an injury, and just in general, has been a really good table setter for the White Sox, being the leadoff guy. And it's pissing me off that Quero's not playing every day, but seems like when he gets his chance, he's usually doing something, whether it's, getting a couple base hits or drawing a walk or maybe throwing a couple guys out. Like he's impacting the game in more than one way and finding a way to impact the game every night, which is exciting for a young kid. And I think we're definitely seeing him like he's here to stay. I don't think he's heading back down to Charlotte or anything like that.
No, if anything, send Andrew Vaughn. He's batting 184. Send him to Charlotte and let Quero be your DH at the very least. And honestly, you can bring up Tim Elko in the process too. Sean, I want to interrupt. The Knicks are up by 1.
Okay.
No, that just changed. The Celtics are up by 1 with 18 seconds left. So kind of really interesting game there when the Knicks were down by 20 and our boy Mikal Bridges wasn't scoring. Well, he's now got 14 points. So let's talk about the next White Sox guy. Sean, I know you're pretty high on this guy, Miguel Vargas. These are his stats over the last 15 games. 321, 419, 472. He's got 17 hits, 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, 8 walks. Again, we need more of those, and 8 Ks. I know he's made some swing changes, and it seems to be doing him a lot of favors because his numbers lately have been really nice.
Yeah, he's been absolute dog shit since the White Sox traded for him, but he messed with his swing and his bat path a little bit to where he's kind of holding his hands up a little bit higher instead of like lower like he had it before. And he's been driving the ball, hitting the ball harder, obviously having a lot of success within the last 15 games. Those numbers, that's probably, I don't even have to look, probably the best 15-game stretch he's had with the White Sox by far and away.
Easily.
Maybe even the best 15-game stretch he's had in his career.
Yeah.
But it's good to see because he's young. He was a former highly, highly touted prospect, and we got him in the Tommy Pham, Michael Kopech, and Eric Fetty trade, which was like unloading our clip at that time. So I'm not going to say like we're relying on Vargas to be a part of this future, but if he is something, that helps a lot. He was our big acquisition that we got last year. So for him to put together some good games here, like that's exciting. I am taking it with a grain of salt, seeing how it's going to look over a little bit longer of a span, but he looks awesome over the last 15 games and since he's made some swing changes. So hoping he keeps it up because he'd be nice to have an answer at third base right now and not have to worry about that moving forward.
He's 1 for 3 tonight. Doesn't have a single strikeout, so that's good. Let me check on Knicks and Celtics. Knicks are tied. So
I got it pulled up here. Yeah. So Brunson just tied it, and it looks like he's going to shoot another here to possibly put him up by 1 with 12 seconds left.
This is crazy. And by the time this podcast released, the game's clearly going to be over. But like, just seeing this live is nuts. I mean, the Knicks were down by 20. Like, I think with 4 minutes left in the third, I think is the point that I saw that. But I'm sure Celtics will probably call it. Nope, Knicks just went up. Okay,
he hit
Knicks
it.
Are up by 1 with 12 seconds left. All right, let's go back. So Shane Smith, at least for now, we've got our ace. Shane Smith has looked phenomenal. He's clearly identified himself as our best starting pitcher. He's got a sub 2.5 ERA, so his ERA is 2.41, 37 innings pitched, 15 walks, 31 strikeouts. Really, really impressed by what I've seen from Shane Smith. He was a Rule 5 guy. So is the next guy that we'll talk about. But it seems like the White Sox kind of landed themselves a really nice piece from the Rule 5 draft, and loving what I'm seeing from him.
Yeah, he's been good. I would like to see him maybe strike out a little bit more guys, but overall, I mean, our starting pitching's starting to come around a little bit. Like Sean Burke's put together some better performances. Jonathan Cannon's put together some better performances. But boy, let me tell you, that looked rough for a little bit. Shane Smith was at one point minus Martin Perez, but then he got hurt. Like one of the only bright spots we had on the starting rotation, and he has just kept being very good. So excited about that. Looking forward to seeing what he can continue to do. I think you're looking at possibly an all-star for the White Sox if he keeps this up, which would be a pretty exciting story, but time will tell. He's only got 37 innings out in his career, but it's been a good 37 innings, so looking forward to seeing what he can continue to do.
Yeah, I've been impressed, and honestly, another guy that seems like he's kind of calming down a little bit here, Jonathan Cannon, put together a nice outing tonight, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned run. He doesn't really strike out a lot of guys, but even if he can just be decent for us, like high 3 ERA to like mid 3 ERA, that would be a great season for him. So
Davis Martin's been coming around a little bit too.
Yeah. Let's talk about a bullpen guy. Mike Vassell. He's been amazing out of the bullpen, and that's saying something because the White Sox bullpen has not exactly been great. He's got a sub 1 ERA, so his ERA is 0.92, almost 20 innings pitched. He's got 12 walks, 13 strikeouts. You obviously want to see those walks come down. 12 walks in 19 innings, not ideal, but to have a sub 1 ERA. And he, like I said, he's another guy that was a Rule 5 draft pick just this year. He's looked pretty nice for us.
Yeah, you want to talk about a bullpen that's bad, man. Anytime you get into those late innings, high leverage situations, you just got to hold on to your butt because that gets rough.
I just teed up for him.
But it's another guy I've kind of kept on my radar as a possible all-star for the White Sox too, and sub 1 ERA and 19 innings pitched. Really the only knock I have on him is 12 walks and 13 strikeouts. I wish he would get the walks down, but I mean, this guy's just starting to make his mark in Major League Baseball. This is the first 19.2 innings he's pitched in his career. So for us just to have someone that's been reliable has been good. Whether we keep him or trade him if he keeps this up, we'll see. But I just thought it was kind of funny. Like our two best players on the pitching staff this year are Rule 5 guys. Like,
Yeah.
what are the odds of that? Shane Smith was the guy that the White Sox drafted first overall in the Rule 5 draft. We got him from the Brewers. And then Vasil was taken 14th overall by the Phillies, ended up going to the Mets. Wasn't going to make the Mets team. So then he ended up coming to the White Sox, and we had to, since he was a Rule 5 guy, we had to roster him, or he would have went back to the Mets, I believe. So obviously it was the right decision to roster him, and we'll continue to see just what he can do. But I think he's going to have a pretty long leash here, given his production and what the rest of our bullpen looks like.
Kind of cool for him, too. I mean, he was drafted in the 8th round, pick number 232 overall out of Virginia in 2021. So for him to be putting together a season like this, kind of a cool story for him. You just have to hope it stays this way. And honestly, like, he does have the advantage of the AL Central pitching against a lot of these AL Central teams. Like, it's going to be a lot easier than a lot of other divisions in baseball, but you don't get paid your next contract by having 10 good games he's pitched so far. So you just have to hope he continues this. Let's talk about some farm guys, and then we can call it for the night. So one guy I talked a little bit about, Tim Elko. This guy is like the AAA king. I swear to God. I think he's going to get called up soon. There's been a lot of rumblings about that lately. Even Chris Getz has talked about it, but Andrew Vaughn is currently struggling. I think he's batting 180. Tim Elko's stat line on the year is 323, 424, 667. He's got 5 doubles, 10 bombs, 22 RBIs, 14 walks, and this part's not ideal, 37 Ks in 30 games. This is kind of going to be a boomer bust guy. He's either going to come to the team and he's going to kill it and he's going to mash, and who knows what we do with him, or he's going to be a AAA forever type of guy.
Yeah, strikeouts are just always going to be a part of his game. They always kind of have been. So, I mean, he's at least hitting with those strikeout numbers in mind. But I was just pulling up his stats because I know they played today too. He went 2 for 4 today with an RBI and a walk. So he had a double, season average up to 348. Yeah, look, I think we're getting to the point where he should be up pretty soon. You got guys like Scott Merkins going there to cover him in Charlotte. Like, I'm sure like he is probably going to be getting quotes and getting a story ready for when he does get called up and all that stuff. But I mean, hey, like, the kid's freaking earned it. Let him get a chance. Andrew Vaughn's been terrible. I know they won't do it, but like, Vaughn should just go to Charlotte, figure his shit out, but they're paying him like $5 million, so they're not going to do it. But Elko, like, he at the very least deserves an opportunity to show what he can do in the major leagues, and deserves an opportunity to maybe be the temporary answer at first base, or hey, maybe he comes up and he is a guy. Like, we don't quite know exactly what he's going to be, but he's clearly showed us like he ain't going to do any more developing. It's time to see what we got in this guy. And I'm all for it. You know, he's not a top 30 prospect. He's not a top 100 prospect. He probably never will be, but hey, maybe he ends up being a very solid major league player, or maybe he ends up being a backup who comes in and gives you a pinch hit home run or a pinch hit double every now and then. Dude's hit. He's always hit. So it's time to see if he can do it on the biggest stage.
Everybody's avenue is different. And over the course of his career in the minors, he's hit 293, in his entire baseball career in the minors. So it's funny because he was drafted in 2022, round 10, number 311th pick overall out of Ole Miss. I feel like Tim Elko's been on our minor league system for like 10 years, and he's only been here for like 3. But yeah, I think it's his time. Give him a shot, and whatever that means with Andrew Vaughn, I don't really care at this point. He's not anywhere near the player that we thought we were getting. Let's talk about somebody more exciting. Braden Montgomery. This guy was one of the big pieces in the Garrett Crochet trade, and he got called up to Winston-Salem. Has absolutely been tearing it up. His stat line with the dash just entering today, so Wednesday, May 7th. He's hitting, his slash line is 360, 467, 760. He's got 9 hits, 4 doubles, 2 bombs, 6 RBIs, 4 walks, and 7 Ks in 7 games. I think that this is going to be kind of like a do-it-all type of player when he makes his way to the majors. He's also a great fielder, so I think he'll have a very long MLB career. He's already doing really well since he's gotten called up to the dash, and I think you're only going to see very similar numbers as he works his way up.
I love this kid. I always have. I always felt like he was going to end up being the biggest piece in that Garrett Crochet trade. And one thing to keep in mind about Montgomery, like obviously these stats are great, but this is the first time he's played professional baseball because he hurt his ankle in the College World Series or in Super Regionals last year. So he never got a chance to play pro baseball at all last year, and now he's come over, was traded to a new team in a new system, and he's just lighting it up. And I'm really excited for his future. I think he's going to be a everyday impact bat. He's a switch hitter. We obviously love that. As you were mentioning, he can steal some bases and stuff too. So I think we got a little star in the making here with Montgomery, and I'm really, really excited to watch him continue to develop. I think people were projecting him to come up after next year. I think he's really going to push that envelope. I think he's gonna force his hand, and he might be up a little bit sooner than we anticipate.
Yeah, I think so too. He's currently the 49th best prospect in baseball too. So for those of you that don't follow the farm system quite a bit, he was drafted 12th overall by the Red Sox last year and then part of the Garrett Crochet trade. But yeah, he's a multi-tool player. He's going to be really exciting once he gets called up. Now let's talk about his brother from another mother, Colson Montgomery, another Montgomery who's not doing so hot. He's spending time away from his own team and was working on his swing in Arizona. There were some rumors that he was going to join Charlotte shortly, but me and Sean are kind of on the same page with this, where, you know, Colson Montgomery was a very, very, very highly touted prospect. I mean, if you look at the top 100 prospects in baseball, I think this is before the season started. This is the last time they updated this. Colson Montgomery was the 34th best prospect in baseball. So that kind of tells you the hype he had going into this season. Hasn't really lived up to it. Me and Sean kind of just want him to join the White Sox to, you know, just give him that freedom to, you know, you made it to the bigs, dude. Just do what you do best.
Yeah. I mean, I'll applaud the White Sox for trying to do something different with him by getting him to work directly with our hitting director and being able to be in like a no pressure situation. But my big thing is like he's dealing with I can't speak for him, but I'm assuming one thing that he's dealing with is the pressure of being so close but not being at the majors. And I think just letting him come up, getting that monkey off his back would be a good thing. And then he's obviously dealing with confidence issues too. And sure, like you can tinker with your swing. You can do whatever you want to do. It's going to look great hitting in a cage. It's going to look great hitting off a tee. It's going to look great hitting off a pitching machine. But you're really only going to be able to figure things out by playing in a game. And again, I applaud the White Sox for trying to do something different. I just probably would have maybe kept him in Charlotte and maybe gave it a couple days off to work on some things and then said, hey, go jump back in there. Let's get this figured out and go from there. But they thought, you know, sending him to Arizona for a couple weeks is going to be the miracle work. So I hope it is. We'll see. But because man, that would really hurt if he ended up not being anything.
Yeah, big time. Can we get Jim Thome to get some eyeballs on this dude? Like, he likes hanging out with the team. Can he just come check out what's going on with the swing? Yeah, I mean, I think this year is going to be pretty telling for him. If he really, really, really struggles this year, then I mean, I hate to say this, but I kind of am going to like give up my hope on him being a centerpiece of our franchise moving forward. But we'll see. I mean, there's still a lot of the season left. So,
I mean,
anything else?
We got some interesting kids in the lower levels of the minors, like Caleb Bonnemer, who we drafted
Yeah.
as a shortstop in the second round of last year's draft. He's hitting 275, getting on base at a 40% clip, 7 doubles, 2 triples, 2 home runs,
Yeah.
stolen 8 bags, 19 RBIs, 16 walks, 23 strikeouts. Like, if Colson Montgomery, worst case scenario, doesn't end up being an everyday guy, like, there are still some intriguing guys coming up in the system that, hey, maybe they can be the guy. Or obviously we're going to have a top pick in this upcoming draft. Maybe we can get an answer there. But it'd just be cool if it worked out with Colson Montgomery. We didn't have to worry about that.
Or honestly, with both guys, because I know Bonnemer, a lot of people are starting to talk about him. He's the White Sox 11th best prospect currently. His estimated window of making the majors is 2028. If he's playing, because I know his slash line lately has looked really nice. If he keeps playing the way he's been playing, I think he might push that a little bit too. But there's a long time.
I think they're playing right now too. I can see how he's doing.
There's a while to go with him. Right now, over at Kannapolis, he's hitting 275 for this season. He's got 2
They
bombs,
played
19
earlier
RBIs.
today, and he was not in the lineup. So,
yeah, he's having a pretty good year. He's got 2 bombs, 19 ribbies, 16 walks, 23 strikeouts. So he's got to work on his strikeouts. He's got 8 steals. So, here we can look at
Braden
last.
Montgomery, 2 for 5, 3 RBIs today. He had another home run.
Naturally. All right. Awesome. Well, that's it, guys. Thanks for coming back again this week. Me and Sean may be shifting as baseball primarily becomes the only sport that is going to be live. So after NHL playoffs and NBA playoffs, I think me and Sean might shift to an episode every 2 weeks, or else it could get really boring around here. So just a little update for y'all. But as always, thanks for hanging out, and we will see you guys next week.